I think my excitement in doing music is me feeling like I'm never stagnant, me feeling like I didn't get comfortable in.
One song turned the entire music industry upside down. A single release reignited one of hip-hop's biggest rivalries, split the culture in half, and reminded the world that words, when wielded correctly, can still shake power. But that moment didn't come out of nowhere. It was the result of years of silence, discipline, and a voice that only speaks when it has something to say. Behind the controversy is a story far deeper than rap beef. A quiet kid from Compton who watched more than he talked. An artist who turned trauma into testimony, albums into cultural events, and hip-hop into history. From underground mixtapes as m.A.A.d to becoming the first rapper to win a Pulitzer Prize, his rise wasn't fast, but it was inevitable. This is not just the story of diss records and dominance. It's the story of restraint, conviction, and a man who never chased the spotlight, yet changed the culture every time he stepped into it. This is the life of Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar Duckworth was born on June 17, 1987, in Compton, California, a city that breathed tension like air. His parents arrived from Chicago's South Side seeking escape from violence, only to land in a place that tested survival in different ways. Hope followed them west, but so did hardship. Money was scarce, and stability even scarcer. Some nights, home was Section 8 housing. Others, it was wherever they could rest. His father worked long shifts at KFC. His mother did everything else it took to keep the family standing. Still, music cut through the struggle layer like a pulse. Old-school hip-hop filled car rides, and Kendrick listened quietly, absorbing rhythm the way a sponge absorbs water. Slowly, completely. He was a small, watchful child, soft-spoken and thoughtful, carrying a stutter that made him choose silence over speech. But his mind was loud. Teachers noticed early that he handled words with unusual precision. Outside the classroom, reality hit harder. At just 5 years old, Kendrick witnessed a drive-by shooting, violence arriving suddenly like thunder without warning. That image stayed with him, becoming part of the story he would one day tell. Faith offered moments of calm. His grandmother introduced him to the Bible, and church became a refuge, even as the streets pressed in from all sides. Kendrick wasn't in a gang, but gang culture surrounded him, close enough to feel like a shadow that never left. For years, he was an only child. Then his family expanded. He gained younger siblings, including a sister named Kayla and a younger brother. Growing up together in Compton tightened their bond. They shared cramped rooms, fear, love, and the unspoken understanding that one wrong step could change everything. Family became both anchor and weight. In middle school, Kendrick found poetry, and with it, a release. Writing gave shape to the chaos around him. By high school, he was rapping under the name m.A.A.d, standing at a crossroads familiar to many kids in Compton. Friends disappeared into gangs. Some never came back. After losing a close friend, Kendrick turned more deeply toward faith and self-reflection, choosing purpose over pressure. He graduated from Centennial High School in 2005 and made a quiet but decisive choice to chase music instead of the streets. Kendrick Lamar's professional ascent began like a distant tremor beneath the streets of Compton. In 2005, still a teenager, he signed with Top Dog Entertainment as m.A.A.d, recording relentlessly, his hunger grinding each verse sharp like a blade on concrete. His early mixtapes moved quietly through the city, spreading by word of mouth like smoke before a fire, signaling that something formidable was coming. That fire surfaced in 2011 with Section .80, marking Kendrick as more than a rapper. He was a storyteller for a fractured generation. The following year, Good Kid, m.A.A.d City unfolded like a cinematic memoir, replaying his youth with raw clarity. The album lingered on the charts for years, earned major Grammy nominations, and rewrote expectations, proving hip-hop could carry the emotional weight of a novel. Rather than repeat success, Kendrick shifted course. In 2015, To Pimp, a Butterfly crashed into culture like a thunderclap, blending jazz, funk, and protest, into a living document of Black identity and resistance. Awards followed, but Kendrick pressed forward. Damn. Arrived in 2017, leaner, sharper, and morally tense, dominating charts and earning the Pulitzer Prize for music, a historic moment that cracked open doors hip-hop had never been allowed to touch. His reach extended beyond albums. Curating and executive producing the Black Panther soundtrack, Kendrick fused hip-hop with cinema, earning Grammy wins and Oscar nominations, proving his vision could move effortlessly across mediums. After years of silence, he returned in 2022 with m.A.A.d and the Big Steppers, shedding bravado to confront trauma, accountability, and healing. The album debuted at #1 and earned major Grammy honors for its vulnerability. Then came Not Like Us. Released in 2024, the song struck the culture like lightning. Sudden, blinding, and impossible to ignore. It dominated charts, ignited conversation worldwide, and swept the Grammys, earning multiple wins and reaffirming Kendrick's lyrical dominance. The moment wasn't just about rivalry, it was about mastery. By 2026, Kendrick's momentum had only intensified. His work from this era earned further Grammy victories, including wins tied to his latest releases, pushing his total to 27 Grammy Awards, making him the most awarded rapper in history. Alongside multiple #1 albums, a Pulitzer Prize, Super Bowl performances, global sales in the tens of millions, and hundreds of nominations across major award platforms, Kendrick Lamar's career stood like a monument, built deliberately, brick by brick, meant to outlast trends. Let's take a look at the personal life of Kendrick. He met Whitney Alford in the early 2000s at Centennial High School in Compton, where friendship bloomed before evolving into teenage love, a bond as steady as the California sun. Even as Kendrick's fame grew, that connection remained unshakable. "I'm loyal to the soil," he once said, and Whitney was the ground beneath him. They kept their romance private, a sacred space in a life under constant scrutiny. But in 2014, they stepped into the public eye, walking the Grammys' red carpet together. A year later, Kendrick proposed, over a decade into their relationship, in 2015. When he was asked if she was just his girlfriend, he corrected the term. "That's my best friend, somebody I can tell my fears to." Their family expanded in 2019 with the arrival of daughter Uzi, and later, son Enoch. They even appeared as a family unit on the cover of m.A.A.d and the Big Steppers, a public testament to the private life they'd built, grounded in love, trust, and vulnerability. Despite decades together, rumors occasionally swirled. Links to labelmate SZA, Fergie, and model Lyra Mercer surfaced online, but none held water. Behind the gossip, Kendrick stayed committed to the one who had walked with him from the halls of Compton to the stages of superstardom. Throughout his most revealing lyrics and his most public triumphs, Kendrick's personal narrative remained anchored by Whitney and their children. What the world heard was the art. What it didn't see was the empire taking shape. Kendrick Lamar's wealth was never accidental. It was built the same way he builds his music, layer by layer, with patience and control. Today, his net worth is estimated between $140 million and $200 million, a nine-figure empire powered by music, ownership, and calculated moves that compound over time. Music laid the foundation, with billions of streams worldwide and a catalog that continues to generate royalties. Kendrick's recorded music remains a constant revenue engine. Touring amplified it dramatically. The Damn Tour grossed roughly $60 million, while the Big Steppers Tour added another $110.9 million, pushing his live performance earnings past $170 million combined. Strategic publishing agreements locked in long-term value, ensuring that every verse continues to pay dividends. Endorsements followed, but selectively. Kendrick treated brand deals like rare currency, aligning only when the fit was exact. Partnerships with Nike, Beats by Dre, American Express, and later Chanel brought in low to mid-seven-figure payouts per deal, proving that restraint can be as profitable as exposure. Each partnership elevated his brand without diluting it. Ownership became the multiplier. In 2020, Kendrick co-founded PG Lang, a creative company spanning music, film, advertising, and publishing. positioning himself not just as talent, but as infrastructure. He also maintains a long-standing stake in Top Dog Entertainment, the label that launched his career, turning loyalty into equity and creative control into residual income. Special projects added further streams. Kendrick's executive production of the Black Panther soundtrack generated massive revenue across streaming, licensing, and global sales, while earning Grammy wins and major industry recognition. Culture and commerce moving in sync. A chapter chosen with purpose rather than flash. His journey began modestly, behind the wheel of a 1992 Cadillac Seville, worth about $25,000, a smooth, boxy cruiser that carried the weight of early ambition. Soon after came a 1990 Cadillac Brougham, valued around $30,000, floating down Compton streets like a living room on wheels, heavy with West Coast tradition. From there, Kendrick leaned into history. A 1964 Chevrolet Impala, estimated at $70,000, sits low and proud in his collection, its chrome and curves echoing decades of California car culture. Alongside it is a 1970 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, worth roughly $60,000, another vintage symbol of elegance and presence. Slow, deliberate, unapologetic. As his career evolved, so did his taste. He stepped into the future with a BMW i8, priced around $150,000, its sleek, hybrid design cutting through the road like a concept car brought to life. He added a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon, valued at approximately $180,000, a luxury tank blending power and prestige, and a Range Rover Sport, costing about $95,000, built for comfort without sacrificing strength. One of the most telling additions is a 1987 Buick Regal GNX, purchased for around $150,000, a rare turbocharged legend. More than a car, it's a statement, powerful enough to inspire an entire album and symbolize controlled aggression beneath a quiet exterior. Then came the power move. In 2024, Kendrick quietly secured a massive $40 million mansion in Brentwood, a sprawling estate that signaled arrival at the highest tier. Purchased off-market, the home stood like a fortress, private, expansive, and unmistakably final. Kendrick Lamar's luxury lifestyle is built on intention, not excess. His spending moves quietly, like a well-placed bass line, felt more than seen. Every indulgence reflects control, taste, and a preference for things that last. Fashion is one of his clearest statements. Kendrick gravitates toward bespoke tailoring and timeless designer pieces, often spending $10,000 to $50,000 per outfit for custom looks crafted by elite fashion houses. These aren't trend-driven purchases, they're wardrobe investments, chosen with the patience of someone dressing for decades, not moments. That same restraint shows up in his watches and jewelry. Instead of heavy chains, he favors understated luxury timepieces valued between $40,000 and $150,000, selected for craftsmanship and rarity. When jewelry enters the picture, it stays minimal. Pieces estimated at $20,000 to $80,000, worn like punctuation rather than exclamation points. Travel is where his wealth breathes. Kendrick prioritizes privacy, opting for 5-star resorts, private villas, and discreet international escapes. With elite accommodations, security, and first-class or private flights, his annual travel spending is estimated between $250,000 and $500,000. For him, luxury isn't being seen, it's being unreachable. Art and culture absorb both time and money. Kendrick invests in galleries, private screenings, and visual art, often supporting creators behind the scenes. Individual purchases and cultural investments range from $50,000 to several $100,000, reflecting perspective more than status. Wellness is another quiet priority. Personal trainers, private studios, therapy, and holistic care add up to $100,000 or more per year. A reminder that longevity is its own form of luxury. Even experiences, private concerts, fashion shows, film festivals, carry price tags of $10,000 to $50,000 per event, accessed without spectacle. Controversy has always trailed Kendrick Lamar, not as noise but as consequence. Wherever he goes, tension follows like a long shadow, cast by the weight of his words and the refusal to soften them. Kendrick doesn't aim for comfort, he aims for truth. And truth has a way of unsettling rooms. As his influence grew, so did expectations. Albums like Good Kid, M.A.A.d City, and To Pimp a Butterfly pushed listeners to see him as more than an artist. Some wanted a leader, even a savior. Kendrick pushed back, rejecting that role outright. The disconnect sparked debate. Should an artist carry moral responsibility, or is that burden imposed by the audience? Kendrick's answer was clear. He would speak, not shepherd. Faith intensified the friction. His open embrace of Christianity and moral reflection drew praise from some and resistance from others, especially when his lyrics challenged modern ideas of identity, accountability, and self-definition. To supporters, he was fearless. To critics, he was controversial. Kendrick never adjusted the message. That discomfort reached a peak with Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. The album stripped away armor, exposing infidelity, therapy, trauma, and generational wounds. Some listeners applauded the honesty, others recoiled, calling it too raw, too revealing. Kendrick offered no defense. He let the silence speak, like an unanswered question hanging in the air. Then came 2024. His rivalry with Drake escalated into one of hip-hop's most explosive moments, detonating fully with Not Like Us. The song spread like wildfire, praised, dissected, debated. Accusations flew, lines were analyzed frame by frame, and the culture split down the middle. Its Grammy sweep only intensified the storm, turning artistic conflict into a global spectacle. Even Kendrick's absences stir controversy. Years of silence between albums frustrate fans and critics alike. Some say he disappears when his voice is needed most. Others argue the opposite, that restraint is his integrity, and speaking less makes the words heavier when they finally land. When you look at Kendrick Lamar's luxury life, it's clear it was never about showing off. It's about control, privacy, and intention. While others chase attention, Kendrick built comfort, freedom, and legacy. And maybe that's the real luxury. Not what he owns, but how quietly he owns it. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe, and let us know who we should cover next.